In a season in which evaluation and finding an identity is the main goal and idea, Washington has found itself the current hottest team in the NFL. What's going on, Washington Commanders Nation? It's your boy Rio Robinson, and this is Rambling About Washington on our fourth Victory Monday in a row. 4 in a row. It feels lovely, don't it? I can get used to this. Pinch me. Is this real? Washington has the hottest rookie quarterback in the league. Washington has the hottest, most efficient, and best offense in the league. Washington now has a offensive line that's a top 5 unit in the league. And the Commanders currently, over the last 2 weeks, are finding their rhythm and chemistry as a defense and are putting both of the sides of the ball together. Who's going to stop this team if we can figure out a consistent path on the defensive side of the ball? We've now beat the Browns. We've beat the Cardinals. We've beat the Bengals, and we've beat the Giants. Let's walk back to week 2 and find our footing back where we currently sit here. We're going back to the Giants game where we were finding our footing as an offense, and we weren't able to punch the ball in the end zone, but this is where it all began. We had to get a monkey off our back. The Giants have owned us for quite some time through the entire tenure of Ron Rivera. We find a way to win that game without scoring any touchdowns, but we didn't punt. We didn't have to send Tress way out there. We ended up winning that ball game by a field goal. The kicker we signed that week hit 7 field goals. Then we played the Cincinnati Bengals, and Jayden Daniels outduels Joe Burrow on Monday Night Football from his crib. They fell to 1-4, but we're going to talk more about them in just a second. The Arizona Cardinals, we were picked to lose that game. We were told we were the get-right game for the Arizona Cardinals. Went up there and beat them by 28 points in their own crib with their former head coach calling the shots in our offense. And then there's the Cleveland Browns. I was told all week, Rio, this is a much better defense than you've seen so far. Y'all are about to get humbled this week. Who did the humbling? It looks like we retired Deshaun Watson as a quarterback yesterday. Our defense went nuts, and in a C+, B- type performance, our offense had an off day of 34 points yesterday. So the Giants went ahead and beat the 3-1 Seattle Seahawks on the road without the best player on their team yesterday, Malik Neighbors. The Cincinnati Bengals should have won 2 in a row. They took the Baltimore Ravens, who we play next week, to overtime, scored 38 points. 38 was not enough, and missed the game-winning kick in overtime and lost 41-38 to the Baltimore Ravens. The Arizona Cardinals, because we played a bunch of nobodies, right? The Arizona Cardinals beat the San Francisco 49ers yesterday, a team that represented the NFC in the Super Bowl last year. The conference champion, those nobody Cardinals beat the Niners. So, in summary, the nobodies that we played in the first 5 weeks of the season, they got active yesterday, and we'll see you next, Baltimore. We'll talk about y'all later this week. I just want to talk about what's already taken place so far. I'm going to educate the minds of dumbass fans who say shit like Washington hasn't played anybody yet this year. What was Washington's record last year? In case a lot of you forgot, the Redskins, the Commanders, the football team, whatever you want to call us, we won 4 football games last year. 4 out of 17. We won our first 2 games of the season and proceeded to go 2-13 through the rest of the season. 2-13. 2 wins, 13 losses, which included 8 losses in a row to close the season. From mid-November to the last week of the season, we did not win another ball game. 4 games. We've already won 4 in 2024, and we haven't even hit mid-October yet. I ain't even got to my birthday yet, which is October 14th. Washington has 4 wins already. Las Vegas set our over-under for win-loss record this year at 5.5 games, meaning they have us at sitting around 5 or 6 games total wins for the season. You can now crumble that shit up and Kobe, that bitch in the trash can, because expectations have to change now. For those saying, no, don't switch up, stay with your preseason record, I say in 2024, we're allowed to change opinions when presented with new data. Nobody had Washington starting off the season 4-1. It had to be an extreme homer optimism take, because new GM, who's a rookie, first time doing it, new rookie quarterback who we know is going to be a dog but has some growing pains he needs to work through, 24 new players, 13 new starters. Nobody thought Washington could be this good right away. And if you think they could, you were just bloviating in front of a national audience, or you have your burgundy tinted lenses on, because nobody should have these type of expectations in year one. But look at the difference coaching makes. Coaching means everything. Coaching, environment, ecosystem. I'm looking at what Washington acquired this offseason. Hit after hit when it comes to the coaching staff, and when it comes to actual player acquisitions. We got the right guy calling the shots, y'all. We got the right GM, Adam Peters, someone that the league has been salivating over getting into their front offices for years now. He came to Washington. This is a guy who's helped construct the Patriots dynasty. He helped the Denver Broncos put together a team that went to 2 Super Bowls and won one with Peyton Manning. And he's helped construct an annual contender in San Francisco. He grew up a San Francisco 49ers fan, and he was the number 2 man in that front office. He would have been perfectly fine being the draft guru football guy for the Niners for the rest of his life, because that's a lifelong dream, to be an assistant general manager for the team that you grew up rooting for. He said it would take a perfect situation, a perfect opportunity to leave the San Francisco 49ers. He turned down the Giants, and he turned down and scoffed at many interview opportunities over the years. He took the Washington job immediately because Josh Harris sold him that you're going to get full reins and full autonomy of a roster. And he's come in his first off season and signed Frankie Louvu, who is the best player on our defense. Austin Eckler, the most dynamic piece of our offense. Bobby Wagner, while older, he's still balling. He had a sack and a half yesterday. We got 4 sacks between the 2 linebackers yesterday. Tyler Biadasz, Nick Allegretti, who are heading a top 5 offensive line in this league. Noah Brown, after cut down day. Olamide Zaccheaus, who's been an integral part of the offense. Zach Ertz, I don't care how the game looked yesterday, he's also been an integral part of the offense. Dorrance Armstrong, who's up to about 3.5 sacks through 5 weeks of the season. He's on pace to hit that 7 to 8 sacks he was getting as a part-time rusher in Dallas. Jeremy Chin and Dante Fowler are on the rise. Fowler had a sack yesterday, and Chin has put 3 straight good games in a row. Talk to Adam Peters and my Commanders GM nicely. Talk to him nicely, because he's in year 1. He's already swindled the Philadelphia Eagles 2 times during the draft and with the trade of Jahan Dotson. Jahan Dotson threw a month of football and over 100 routes run in Philadelphia. He has 50 yards on 4 catches. De'Ami Brown had 1 catch yesterday that has outproduced Jahan Dotson's whole season. Olamide Zaccheaus had 1 game in Arizona that has surpassed Curtis Samuel and Jahan Dotson's whole season. Let our GM cook. He took Johnny Newton in the 2nd round when we had needs at other positions. Ends up getting Brandon Coleman a round later in round 3. And Brandon Coleman and Cornelius Lucas were dual-wielding left tackles. You know what those left tackles did yesterday? They had Myles Garrett on a fucking milk carton. Did he play football yesterday? He did not record a single stat, a tackle, a hurry, a pressure, or a sack versus the Commanders yesterday. We heard about this Browns defense and the pieces led by top 3 defensive player in the league, Myles Garrett. There was an APB out for him at Northwest Stadium yesterday. I don't think he made the trip. This is not the same old Washington. And don't get me started on that rookie quarterback who is breaking records weekly, who is collecting accolades like Thanos collected gauntlets for Infinity Stones for the Infinity Gauntlet. It looks easy for him. And even when he makes his boneheaded rookie mistakes, he's right back at you. Washington's least impressive offensive output in the last 3 games was yesterday, and it still resulted in 34 points, and it allowed Washington to clear the benches. We cleared the benches. We took all the starters out of the game with a quarter of football left to go, and we secured our first 4-1 start in 16 years since 2008. We want to party like it's the first half of 2008. We don't want to replicate the second half, but Washington has already overachieved in 2024, and you have to be blind, a hater, or not a ball knower or ball watcher to not recognize how well this team is playing in 2024. And don't let us consistently have a defense, because if the best offense in the league gets a solid to adequate defense on the other side of the ball, we are capable of beating any team in the league right now. Look at the NFC standings right now. Washington is the number 2 team in the conference to the Minnesota Vikings, who had a very rough but found a way to win a game in London yesterday versus the Jets. They have started the season 5-0 with Sam Darnold at quarterback. The Lions are probably more of a threat in the bigger picture in the NFC. So the Lions, who had a bye week, they have 1 loss. I think the Lions are the class of the NFC right now, because while Brian Flores and Kevin O'Connell are coaching their ass off, the Lions are probably the team to beat in the conference, because they should have been the team that represented the NFC in the Super Bowl last year. Washington is a top 5 team in this league right now. A top 5 team in this league. The Vikings, the Chiefs, the Lions, the Texans are the only team I would put over the Commanders right now. We're number 5. We're number 5. We have the most points scored in the league right now, 155 points. We are averaging 31.5 points a game, and we pulled the starters with a quarter to go, and we left so much meat on the bone yesterday. Big seam ball to Zach Ertz, we didn't hit. Terry McLaurin dropped the touchdown. We threw a goal line interception because Jayden Daniels got the yips because of early pressure. We left a lot on the field. We left 14 to 17 points on the field, and still we're up 34-6 in the fourth quarter of a game where we pulled our starters out the game and cleared the benches out. I don't want to hear about we're playing nobody. We're playing the exact schedule a 4-13 team is supposed to play. The difference here, we have coaches that are getting through to the players and playing to the strengths of their players. We have a fucking franchise quarterback behind center that can kill you with his mind, his right arm, and his legs. There's no comp for him. He's the first Jayden Daniels. And we finally have a defense that is playing complementary football. They found a way to force turnovers, 7 sacks yesterday. Turn us the fuck up. I don't want to hear any of your hate. And if your team is below mine on the standings via conference or via division, I can't hear you right now, because Washington is 4-1. And Washington is looking forward to this Baltimore Ravens matchup. It should be the game of the week. It should be taking place on primetime, but it's not. We're not going to get into details about it yet, but we know what the Ravens are. The Ravens were the best team in the NFL last year. They choked in the AFC Championship. Lamar Jackson's 2 MVPs. Nobody's sleeping up. Derrick Henry. We know exactly what the Ravens are capable of. We actually want to build an identity similar to what Baltimore does, but now we're going to build it our own way, brick by brick, and we put and facilitated the right people in positions of power to usher in a new era of glorious Washington football. The curse is lifted. Dan Snyder's out of the building. For those of you who think this is same old Washington, you're not paying attention. Snyder don't own this team no more. Bruce Allen is not here no more. Ron Rivera is not here no more. We're on to bigger and better things, and 2024 could not have started better for the Washington Commanders. We're going to run for 200 on anybody. We're going to throw for over 200 yards on anybody. And you're seeing the early returns version of Washington. You're not even seeing what we're capable of when we get the right pieces, when we get some secondary upgrades, when we get more development for our younger guys. Look at Luke McCaffrey. He's not even getting targets right now. He's still running every route to the fullest of his abilities, and he's getting open on a top 5 click clip in this league as far as separation is concerned. Wait till we start getting Luke the ball. Wait till we unleash Ben Sinnott, who we're definitely going to need to unleash at some point, because as good as Zach, as well as Zach Ertz is playing, Ben Sinnott offers much more athleticism than Zach Ertz. I just love what we're doing right now. Shout out to Bobby Johnson for having our offensive line baller. Shout out to Anthony Lynn, the running backs coach. Shout out to Joe Witt Jr. for putting together 2 complete weeks of defense. And shout out to the orchestrator of it all, Dan Quinn. We were not familiar with your game. We all laughed at the fact of you catching that flight back from Dallas for a final interview in the interview process. And we were all wrong. We now understand and have been familiarized with your game. Keep leading grown men and keep finding ways to get victories. Don't look now, but 500 football for the rest of the season gets Washington to 10 wins. 6-6 in our final 12 games gets us to 10 wins on the season. And I've laid out the blueprint multiple times on the channel. Might as well do it one more time on the way out of this video. Washington's path to a 10-win season. Split with Dallas, 1. Split with Philly, 2. Sweep the Giants, 3. Beat the Carolina Panthers, 4. Beat the Tennessee Titans, 5. Beat the Chicago Bears when Caleb Williams comes to downtown, 6. And number 7, you need to beat one of your NFC South opponents, the Saints or the Falcons. That is actually 7 wins. I said 6 wins. You know why I said 7? 7-11, baby. The longest drought in this league is the Commanders winning 11 games. We are the only team since my birth year of 91 to not win 11 games in a season. And if Washington does what I just said, beat the Giants for a sweep, beat the Cowboys, beat the Eagles one time. We don't got to sweep them. The Tennessee Titans, the Carolina Panthers, the Chicago Bears, and one of the above out of the NFC South, the Saints or the Falcons, Washington could go 11-6 and have 11 wins for the first time since my birth year of 1991. And everything should be on the table. We should be having discussions about the playoffs, and we should be changing our opinion and our lens of how we see this team, given the new data of Washington is kicking ass in 2024. Hate on it if you want to. We ain't going nowhere. Hail to the Washington Commanders. Until next time, Commander Rio, out.